The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95 and a very warm welcome back onto the program. We're excited because this new moon retreat has opened up in the Emirate of Sharjah, and along with it, it has brought a series of announcements of what's there to expect. And to talk to us in greater detail about those projects as well as the moon retreat, we've got Khawla Al Hashimi from the Projects Development Department. She's the director of it for Shuruq. A very good morning to you, Khawla Al Hashimi.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, guys.
Well, we're excited. I've got to say this. Finally. Because when we talked about it, we were told it's going to open soon. And there was teasers, there was social media posts that this moon retreat is going to open up. But now we're here. Talk to us about how does it feel, and it has taken some time to be completely ready and open its doors.
Yeah, I mean, it was a strategic decision anyway to keep it closed during summer, because when we talked about it, if you remember, a lot of it was, about experiencing Mleiha and the outdoors. So it didn't really make sense. And when we did want to have it open, we wanted people to really experience it in its full glory, which means the outdoors and the hikes and the everything that you do when you go to the desert. So we are very excited to have it open now. We're very excited to have people try it. I've actually tried half of it.
Okay.
So I am as well waiting for my full experience of it, spending the night and trying both the domes and the tents, because there's two different structures there, as well as strategically located. So one of them is, for example, facing the mountains, where you have a completely different experience, and the domes are facing the sand dunes, and they're more integrated with the sand. So it's going to keep people coming back and experiencing again Mleiha the way we want them to.
So to take us through the key details about how it's all structured, you said that there are domes, obviously. Yeah. And how many domes are there available in the retreat?
There's 10 domes, strategically located. So when we came to the site and we handpicked the location from, so many tens and tens and tens of other locations. We've driven through Mleiha and we went around, and we decided that this was a nice nook that was hidden, and we made sure, at night it's very dim and it's away from the street, and it's
safe, obviously.
And it's safe.
Yeah.
We've fenced it off as well. So we've located as well so that we don't actually mess with the nature a lot.
Yeah.
So you would see that the domes are also placed in not the same. So we haven't leveled the grounds, and we haven't really constructed, let's say, platforms or anything like that to try and ruin the natural habitat of Mleiha. So we've basically placed these structures to go with whatever was there. So even with the tents, you would see that the tents are on different levels, and you get to experience and walk around, and there's pathways and so on and so forth. So on one side, we have 10 domes, and on the other side, we have 6 keys or 6 tents. The tents are a mixture of 2 bedrooms and 1 bedroom. So perhaps you could say they cater more towards the families or the extended groups, whereas the domes, also because of the size of the dome, you can have a couple.
And there are also private pools, I heard.
There's private pools in most
Where
of
are
them.
they exactly? With the domes or with
Both.
Both? Oh, very nice.
So there's 3 domes that don't have private pools.
Okay.
The rest of them do. So it's just, offering people many experiences, those who want the pool and those who don't.
Yeah. And the project is so interesting to us because it's very difficult to describe, because it's really something out of this world. You really can't see anything like this elsewhere. Can you tell us who is the target segment for this kind of project? It's been described as a luxury glamping destination. So who do you have in mind for this?
So I feel like a lot of people are going to fit in this segment, because there's the adventurers who like to camp out in the desert. This could also be a good experience for them. But then there's people like me who eventually want my own bathroom, and I want the luxury of having a private deck and having a barbecue in a certain place where I can eventually wash my hands with flowing water. So I think it's going to cater to a huge portion of the population that want to be outdoors, but also love the comfort of certain luxuries of, flowing water and a private pool and so on. So we see families, we see people who are as well tourists coming and wanting to experience and see Sharjah for really something that's different and special. But also the people of the UAE, because Mleiha is quite different, and there's very, very special things about it. So where we always saw that this project would be a platform for people to stay, but then go and experience the different things. So there's the archaeological sites, there's the routes that you can go to, the caves, there's various experiences, the paragliding that's now opening.
Yeah.
There's various experiences that are not only Shuruq based. So there's as well the geological center, which is super interesting, done by the EPAA, and all of that is based in Mleiha. So the moon retreat is basically the place where you sleep at night, and you get to spend a few hours of your day, but then you go hiking.
So those are the entertainment services, basically.
To tell us some more about those, because these projects are so well integrated into the surrounding nature and the beautiful landscapes and such, and it feels like it's not intrusive on nature. It's almost like you're embracing that aspect of things and sustainability and such. So talk to us about those aspects as well.
Yeah, so it wasn't easy to come to a contractor and say, don't touch anything, or don't, put the concrete wherever you want it, or the construction waste wherever it goes. And even with the decisions early on of what structure to use, everything was intentional. We could have built a concrete structure and gone like, okay, that's, but it doesn't really fit. And it would have definitely destroyed the natural environment. Definitely, like 100%. So we went with very light structures, we went with domes, we went with tents. We went on site so many times to mark exactly where everything fits. So we chose the locations where, we realize a truck is going to come here and it's going to place certain things. So we needed a little bit of access. We needed a space that is already sort of flat, to minimize any kind of construction debris, to minimize any kind of intrusion into the space. So when you go there now, you would still feel like, this was untouched. As well as with the colors that we chose in for the pathways and for everything, there's nothing that's really out of place, or anything that is the materials that were chosen and so on. Everything seems to fit and feel like it belongs here.
Are they well or air conditioned, the tents and the domes?
Important question.
They both are. I mean, we went in the middle of summer. I'm not going to say that it was pleasant. It wasn't very pleasant in the middle of summer, but I don't think it's meant to be experienced in the middle of summer, because you're not going to stay in your dome for too long.
Yeah, true.
Hence the launch right now.
Hence the launch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
Now, I've got to ask you this question. I'm sure a lot of people would do, because I'm just trying to look at the prices. And then as soon as I checked the availability, I had to do a little bit of a and then think about the pricing value. To talk to us, a lot of people would argue saying, okay, that's the price you'd pay normally for a glamping anyway, so it is competitive.
Yeah.
But talk to us about the idea of glamping and why it can come at a cost such as that, when people would just think, oh, it's a tent in the desert. But there's a little bit more to it.
It's a little bit more than a tent in the desert. It provides you with all the full-on experience as well. And there's a private pool. You get to spend a lot of time with your family or your friends in a context where you probably wouldn't, unless you wanted to do the traditional, let me go and get my Ace Hardware tent and sit in the desert. So it's I understand why some people would resist the idea, because it's not a 5-star typical kind of hotel. But the idea of going out into nature and having a glamping experience, I think, is now the new way of luxury travel or experiential travel. So there's a price tag to that, and the market is what.
True, true. It's very true. I mean, we've seen that with lots of other glamping destinations is similarly priced. But in terms of for families, if you could talk to us a little bit more, because everyone would be thinking, the domes look cool, but I'm not sure how big it is going to be with the beds and everything. So talk to us a little bit more, because you've experienced it.
Yeah.
We're yet to experience it, and we'll be there eventually. Hopefully, maybe do a morning show from there. You never know. Brilliant ideas. But talk to us about the size.
No, so I wouldn't recommend the domes for families.
Okay.
I would not, because there's a couple. Maybe you can have a little crib in there, but that's about it. I would definitely recommend, and that's why we went with the 2-bedroom tents as well.
Okay.
The 2-bedroom tent for sure can accommodate families, very comfortably. There's room for extra beds. There's room for, even in the living room, to have more people to spend the night as well. So there's different sides of the project that are catered to different groups.
Let's talk about some of the other projects that were unveiled by Shuruq over this weekend as well. There's plenty of stuff to be excited about too.
Yeah. So which ones do you want to talk about?
Where do we even start? So there's the Al Jabal Resort, for instance.
Yes.
It also overlooks nature in some way, and it's got this this pristine style of non-invasive, sustainable architectural style.
Yeah.
So talk to us about where we're heading as well in terms of the future for these projects too.
So I think with all of our projects, the government has put in our control, a lot of these valuable lands that are very, very special and untouched. So it comes with the responsibility that, you don't really want to mess them up, and you don't really want to do something that is out of place, and you want to really respect, the mountain, and you respect the beach, and you respect the desert, and so on. So you really want to take your time to find the solutions. And now we have access to international suppliers and international contractors and designers, and so there's really no excuse for us to go the traditional method and just build for the heck of building. So with Al Jabal Retreat, for example, this is a project that has been in our plate for a while, and we kept experimenting with different solutions. None of it really felt right until we got to this. So what we've done is we've basically gotten these ready cabins that are coming in from Finland. Fully fitted wooden cabins, and basically the reason we went that route is to keep our footprint as minimal as possible onto the site, because again, if you have all these construction vehicles on site, there's no way you're not going to ruin the mountain, right? So with bare minimum intrusion, we're placing these cabins to sit on certain levels of the mountain. So there's three layers of them. And then with these as well, we have 2 types of the 1-bedrooms, and then a 2-bedroom as well. We always try to cater for the families. And then obviously there's a spa component, there's the all-day dining restaurant, there's a specialty restaurant, there's a reception, and so on. But, we've been on site as well last Thursday, and construction has already started. The cabins have arrived from Finland and so on. And you can still see that, most of it is still untouched. You can still see the plants that have been there. You still see the rocky, because it's oxidized stone, so you still see the oxidized color. The moment you scratch that surface, you see what's underneath it, and that's not oxidized. So you can tell where the mountain has been scratched and where it hasn't. So that's basically the approach that we try to take with all of our projects. So you'd see that it's not driven by design or driven by architecture. It's all the different parameters that come into place that would drive what the end product is. So, if you're designing in a place that's, in a mangrove or in the desert or in the mountains, it's all different solutions. You can't have a one-size-fits-all kind of solution. So, the materials are different. The color scheme would be different. The lightness of a structure versus how heavy it is. It's all very different. And that's what excites us at Shuruq. That's what keeps us going, and that's what keeps us... Because every project comes with its own set of challenges, its own set of parameters that, takes us back to square one of trying to learn and challenge ourselves. How can we innovate, and how can we... find a solution that is going to be appropriate for this particular project.
Well, makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of planning and a lot of hard work that goes onto it. So, last couple of thoughts from your side about the the tranquility the Sharjah Desert has to offer with these projects. What makes Sharjah Desert really stand out? So maybe a tough question, but maybe I'd like you to, when you look at these projects, because they essentially are babies, because you've been working on them for such a long time, and now they're coming to fruition. Talk to us a little bit to conclude. What's the beauty of Sharjah's desert?
I think, what you said was right. The tranquility of it is that we've really let it and celebrated it the way it needs to be. We haven't messed around with it a lot. And whatever experiences you have are all complementary to the desert. And then there's very, very little places in the world where the desert or the sand meets the rock. And Mleiha is one of those places. And the redness of the sand, it's one of my favorite places in Sharjah and in all of the UAE, to be honest. So it's just that you really do feel the escape when you go to Mleiha, and there's like millions and millions of experiences that you get to see. The stargazing, you go in between the mountains, you hike, the archaeology is on a different level. Like you go there and you learn about human history, not about UAE history. So it's really so many layers and so many things that are very, very special about Mleiha that make it stand out, for me at least.
Wow. Well, we're definitely going to look forward to it as well, and we're going to venture out towards it. But Khawla Al Hashimi, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and we look forward to hearing more about the projects and maybe even visiting the good old moon retreat at some point soon.
We have to.
Thank you for having me.
So excited for it. It looks beautiful. I was looking through the pictures.
Yeah.
It's out of this world.
Definitely is. Well, guys, to give you an out-of-the-world experience on the audio vibes and the audio version, it's going to be on our SoundCloud and Apple podcast, this conversation. We've got the drone competition as well for you to film. So Mleiha Desert could be yours to do that. So stay with us on Pulse 95. Morning Majlis will be back again tomorrow morning, bright and early. And for the time being, we'll let you enjoy some musical entertainment that the station has to offer. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, bright and early.
If you liked this episode of The Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.